I think it's a culmination. Of course, we all know cops are, they're walking around pounding their chest and, nothing can touch them kind of a thing. And I said it myself too. It's like, look, I'm the protector. I'm not supposed to be a victim here. And so breaking down that barrier is probably the most difficult thing, first of all. And I think it's it's a culmination, but it's also a realization of you can't go like what I say in the book is you can't go 18 years and see the worst of the worst and expect to be okay, because you're just not going to be. You just can't. You can't watch, an officer get killed in front of you. You can't watch a baby being pulled out of a green pool and expect to be all right. So I think that those two things combined are the beginning stages, if you will. But then I think when their peers and or their supervisors pointed out to them and basically corner them almost and say, that's what happened with me. And they say, hey, you're not okay. No, I'm good. No, you're not. And then they finally make it to where you don't have a choice and you've got to go seek some help. So
that's actually an interesting perspective that I never really thought about. Does the motivation to going to get help actually come from those around you that have been in the same scenarios that realize it? Like, because I imagine, especially family that's quite concerned about their, the husbands or their wives or their fathers or their mothers that are in the workforce, in the police force, they'd be concerned. They'd tell them like, okay, I can see you're not okay. You need to go get help. But is that scenario sometimes the ones where they're most seeker to help? Or is it the fellow professionals that go and say, no, I've been through this with you. I know when you need help, when you don't.
I think that's a generational thing, because when I was going through back in '97 when I got hired on, the thought process was don't share your stories with your family. They don't need to know what you're going through and everything else, which of course now we know was a huge mistake. And I was that guy. I never came home and told the family my gory stories about what happened that particular day. And so they never really saw that side of me. And had I done that back when it was probably more necessary for me to do it, I probably would have survived my career a little bit longer. But so many guys nowadays are actually sharing all those things. So when they're struggling, more people recognize that they are struggling. And so I think it's a good balance. I think if you've got good supervision and you've got guys that recognize that traumas are going to happen and it's okay to say you're not okay, guys are seeking help much sooner in their careers.
So, I mean, I want to pivot this over to a point where like definitely these people will experience things. It's almost a given that police officers will experience things which require them to seek mental health help, to help them process this type of thing. But if that's kind of almost, I'm going to say, predictable to a certain degree, does it not mean that this theoretically should be dealt with beforehand? Or is that almost impossible? Like every case is so unique that you have to do it after you've experienced it?
Well, I'll tell you this, that, you got especially the younger guys, the recruits coming through, because I was actually looking through my criteria for my academy class a couple of weeks ago. And one of the very first classes that we took was mental wealth and health, or mental wellness and health type stuff. And I remember the class, and to be perfectly honest with you, I never really took it that seriously. I thought, this is a bunch of crap, man. We're here to chase bad guys and kick in doors. I mean, there's nothing can touch us. And then when you start maturing and start realizing that the bad things actually do touch you, then I think it's also something I didn't point out earlier was you've got to want to be helped. You've got to accept the realization that you're not okay, which is one portion of it. And then you've got to actually want to take that next step and want to be helped. Because I was kind of at that point where I was saying, okay, I know things aren't okay. I'm having anxiety attacks and, I'm making bad decisions and so forth. But then I had to take it to the next level and say, all right, what do I want to do? Do I want to continue to be in this state of mind, or do I want to be better? And getting guys to get to that point is very, very difficult as well. So
did the training beforehand help you to get to that point, or was it really when you experienced it they realized, okay, I should have focused more on that class? Is that even a thing? Thing like, okay, definitely. I should have listened here.
Yeah, no, it definitely was one of those things where I should have listened more. And it wasn't until I started facing more and more traumas. We had an officer that was killed on my first year that I had on, and I hadn't really focused on any of the trauma, if you will. I'm just going to use that word. It's a really basic word. There's better words that I can use. And what I realized was when I was in the funeral, and all of a sudden they started playing a song over the speakers, and I started crying out of nowhere. And I'm going, I didn't know this guy. Why am I crying? And that's when it started to hit me that bad things actually do happen to us, and people do try to kill us. That's one major thing, of course, but that's only one of probably 1,000 different things that we're going to face. and guys that, like in my case, I faced it early on, but I boxed it up. I didn't really express it enough at the time. And then when the big one hit, if you will, it was 18 years of stuff that I hadn't processed through yet properly. So